Friday on the Prospect Podcast. As always, I have Coach D with me right below today, and we have our great guest today, the head coach of Salesianum High School.
Nice, Coach. Good job. I had total confidence.
Did I get it?
I had total confidence in you. Yes, dude. Yes, that's awesome.
Don't have that confidence. Coach Delle Donne from what I just said.
There you go.
I got it right twice.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. Let's get it right once. That's good. So we're excited to talk to Coach and really dive into. He's really built a great program in 2023 to win states. He's an alumnus of the school as well. Played his college football at Middle Tennessee State. Started off as for years. Started as a Salesianum's offense coordinator and assistant varsity coach. He's a standout athlete himself, and the Delle Donne family is definitely one that has a lot of great athletes in it. And he was a Delaware Gatorade Player of the Year in 2004. So we're excited to talk to Coach and dive into everything that he's doing in that program. So, Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. I think I'm known better off as Elena's brother as opposed to Gene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Whatever it takes, Coach. I mean, it's hard. I get it. All good, though. We'll take it.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it and love everything you've been doing. I love being a part of the email thread, too, that comes out. So
awesome.
You guys are killing it. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. We're trying. I mean, we do a lot of episodes and a lot of different diverse things within the sports realm. Obviously, mostly football and strength and conditioning and speed, but we dive into everything. So it's really great to have you on and talk about, obviously the success you had and Delaware football has continued to develop over the years. I mean, for me, first time I came to Mapples, we were running events down there on showcases, and Coach DT, came to an event, Wayne Thomas, when he had eventually had Eastern Christian, but he was first at a Red Lion, and he came to a Jersey event that we were on a showcase because he thought he had some good players from Delaware. Didn't think Delaware was really getting recruited actively. Derek, do you hear that? Hold on.
No, I'm good. Is he you? I don't even.
Okay, stop. But yeah, so he came up to an event in New Jersey, brought a bunch of players from, I think it was Red Lion, it was at the time. And he was with them at the time. And then they did really well. And he's like, would you run an event down here? Host one of your bigger showcases or something. And we did it. And I think at the time there was either 0 or 1 Delaware player that went D1, and their groups started at explosion, and then a lot of then athletes from all different schools, obviously, eventually, but it started to bring that recognition, and now Delaware has really blossomed, from a football standpoint, where there's several schools. Obviously, it's top end orientated because it's a smaller state. That's how it's going to be, but it really has done a great job of really having a lot of really athletes that have gone on to places, promoting football more and more. And you don't see that as often in places that aren't already good football places. So I think that it's unique. I would compare it to Connecticut, and even though Connecticut's a bigger state, but as far as population wise. But Connecticut has still. That's why I played football I played at UConn, and even though I'm from Jersey, but they still haven't really even though they have all of those prep schools, just not dove into promoting football in the way that it could. Where Delaware has done a much better job of that and have seen the benefits of it. There's still always players in the state of Connecticut that'll go D1 because there are athletes there, but we talk about this with other UConn, a lot of them who are from UConn, from Connecticut, that live there. You know what I mean? But Delaware is one of those states that has done that.
Yeah.
The coaches obviously are a huge part of it. Like, you guys have really blossomed that process and really brought a lot of that to the forum, and I think that's changed it a lot. So I would love for you to kind of first dive in a little bit of your obviously your career in football and sports.
Sure.
And then we'll go into a lot of these topics, because I think you're one of the guys that's really done a great job in Delaware building a program and kind of being one of the stalwarts in Delaware football.
I appreciate that. So, yeah, it's kind of staying on that Delaware. I'm born and raised right here in Wilmington, Delaware. My dad's always been a Delaware guy. So I was lucky enough to graduate from Salesianum, where I'm coaching now. Graduated in 2005, played football and basketball, kind of ran both high school careers, I guess you could say, parallel. Had opportunities to play in basketball. Obviously, my sister being a basketball player. My dad played in college. My mom dabbled with it a little bit growing up and was a swimmer, but chose to go the football route. Like you said, graduated 2005, was lucky enough to be Gatorade Player of the Year as a quarterback. And I knew quarterback because I'm going to transition here to a tight end, which taught me a lot about the game. So went to Duke my first year. Was there during the dark days, right, of Duke football.
Who was the head coach there when you were there?
Ted Roof.
Got it.
Who's now the DC now he's back with Bill O'Brien at Boston College. But so was there for a year, transferred out, and transferred to Middle Tennessee State. And a lot of people ask, how did I find Middle Tennessee State at the time?
Right.
Sunbelt, Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator at Middle Tennessee was a guy by the name of G.A. Mangus, who coached me for a year at high school, who came from the Spurrier tree, played at Florida, cool. But I was lucky at Middle Tennessee to play for Rick Stockstill. And if you study his coaching tree, it's pretty cool. Like, Manny Diaz was our defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach at Duke, right? Willie Simmons was the running backs coach, who's now the head coach at FIU. Tony Franklin, who's done a lot, coached Jared Goff and been around and been in the NFL and blah, blah, all that good stuff, and now does a bunch of training development. He was our quarterback coach in OC after Mangus. So everyone asks, for high school, where did you find where did you learn the game? And I would really credit Middle Tennessee State and Rick Stockstill as being the kind of the originator of my background and my tree and learning from him. I was the prototypical 6'5" drop back style quarterback, right? Who wasn't much of a runner. More of the old school Big Ten quarterback that we all remember growing up, like watching guys like Chad Henne and all those dudes. And as I guess it was probably 06, 07, you guys would remember, football kind of turned into the shotgun 4 wide, right? The spread offense. I saw the writing on the wall that I wasn't going to run the ball as a QB and became a tight end. And luckily enough for me, the offense kind of morphed into the hybrid tight end, slot receiver, sniffer, chip the edge, whatever you want to call it, wing, also the hand in the dirt. And I ended up playing tight end my last 3 years of Middle Tennessee, which was cool because that really kind of taught me the overall game and not just reading a cover 4 or 2 high or a 1 high and as a QB, right? So won the New Orleans Bowl in 2009. We beat Southern Miss. We were 17-point underdogs. We were 10-3 that year, 31st or 32nd in the country at Middle Tennessee State. And I then moved back home and got into high school coaching. So here I am now.
Amazing. It's what was it like going to Middle Tennessee when you're from Delaware originally? That's a unique, especially back then. You know what I mean?
I felt like I was in the friggin' Twilight Zone, Dave. I had Murphy's coming from Philly. I look out my window, I'm 20 minutes from the Philly airport, right? So I'm in the heart of the Northeast, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. And I took my visit to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I was at least expecting Nashville, and it's not.
What's funny is now that area is so built up. So
right, it's totally different.
Totally different.
It's so true. But what made it for me were the people, like
right.
the Tennesseans, the people. My wife is from there. My in-laws, her parents are still down there. The people of like the Southeast are awesome people, you know. Got to meet my roommates who live, Georgia, Florida, a couple Texas guys. Like that was a heck of an experience for me just because I'd never been in that part of the country, you know. So it was cool. But Philly to Murfreesboro, it was a little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's one of those things, especially like Tennessee has changed so much, obviously in the last 20 years especially, which is really interesting. But it's I could imagine when you come there from Delaware outside the Philly area and you're going there and it's totally different. Now obviously your family is a big sports family, but you knew you wanted to coach, you kind of had like a real good understanding of what you wanted to do pretty early, which I think is unique. Obviously, a lot of times when you're young, talk about that. What made you want to get into coaching?
Yeah.
And how that all started for you.
It's funny. I guess I was at Middle Tennessee, and like as a college football player, like you're a counselor at a youth camp, right? Like we've all been there, and that's what they all do in the summer. And, like towards the end of the camp, like you end up taking a team, right? Whether that be a 7-on-7 team or a flag football team of like 10, 11-year-olds. And you're coaching them to try to win like a little camp championship, right? And it was like, I remember walking away from that moment feeling like I got such a high out of that. And I was like, this is a feeling that I've never felt before, right? And like I remember like asking Coach Stock, and it was like, you're working with people, you're working with kids, you're making an impact. Like it's so, there's nothing more rewarding than coaching, I mean, clearly high school football coach, I'm not doing it for the money, right? Like I'd be working at JP Morgan if I, wanted money or wherever. Right. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the fact, like when you have the ability to teach a kid how to run a route and like break down the steps and the yards and the outside revolutions, and that kid has no idea about that. And then on a Friday night, he catches a touchdown. I'm not going to say all solely because of how we coach them. Like, that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. And my dad owns a real estate company, family-owned business. He's been at it for, 40 years now. And I remember he told me, he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, Dad, like I respect the name on the wall and like obviously would always want to be there for you. And I was like, but I really like coaching and being around kids and teaching and the whole academia lifestyle, right? And he was like, listen, Gene, he was like, major in something that you find that you like, which for me was history. He was like, you ever want to go to the real estate business? I'll teach you more about that in 4 years than you'll learn in a business 101 class, So like I was able to, luckily enough to have the mentorship from my dad to see like, wow, I really like this. I like working with kids, being around that experience. And like I say, like, you guys know, like when you walk off that, even just a practice field, you're like, wow, like you feel good. You just feel good. And I think us coaches, it becomes a little bit of like an addicted high that we love,
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. I think that that was one of the reasons I got into coaching was like I was in business and I thought that part was missing in my life. It's a really, really once you do it and you see that impact you have, it's addictive at that point. And then you're really working to try and figure out how to get better and better at what you do, and having ways to make sure that you can reproduce that on the field for the athletes that you're working with. Talk about the school that you're at, and you coached there obviously for such a long time and played there.
Yep.
What was the whole allure of it? Obviously, you had a great experience. Talk about that, and then obviously leading up to becoming head coach.
Yeah. So my grandfather went to the school. He was one of the first graduating classes in 1930. He actually went off to UD and played football there at Delaware and all that. All my uncles went to the school. actually, funny enough, and I still kid him to this day, my dad didn't. But my whole family went to Salesianum. And it's an all-boys Catholic private high school. So it's just 9 through 12. You know, the Catholic religion's big up here in the Northeast, right? We all know that. So there are a lot of Catholic private schools up here. And that focus on accountability, discipline. You know, we wear the coat and ties, and the hair has to be above the collar, and the face has to be clean. And I think the accountability and the discipline that define our school, it translates. You want to be a part of that. For me, at least, I wanted to be a part of it. And you know, you guys probably hear this a lot, but like we do have a real sense of brotherhood. Like it's real at our school. 1,000 boys around each other all day. The school does a great job of that, and administration makes sure to like see that through. I had the ability to coach in college. It's just like you guys. I'm sure we all have buddies out there that are on staffs and things like that. And it's just like the school meant a lot to me, honestly. Like, and I say this, who knows, 10 years down the road, but I truly, truly don't believe I would coach at another high school. I really don't. Like, if American Heritage called me, shout out to my guy, Mike Smith, right? And he was moving on to the NFL and they offered me $150,000 to coach there, I would say no. I genuinely would say, because of how much I like Salesianum. If I ever left, it'd be to go coach college in the NFL, right? Other than my family, like the school is really, really, truly important to me. Just because of how it's been led, how it's been shaped, and the kids there. I mentioned private Catholic all boys. So it can get tight at times, but like I said, they talk about discipline. Now, the awesome part of it, we just opened up $17 million practice fields. We have a $26 million stadium. We're sitting on a $40 million endowment, right? So like, I joke that it's the University of Salesianum, right? We just became Jumpman. We're the #1 selling BSN account in the Mid-Atlantic region, right? We have administration that wants to win. They want to do it right. And they're like, Gene, what do you need to get there? Obviously within the constraints of the DIAA and the rules and all that. So we have an alumni base of 20,000 plus, and whether there be Navy SEALs, coaches, presidents of banks, it's very impressive. At one point, we were one of the largest feeders to Notre Dame. So it's a very prestigious school. It's a school where the alumni truly care a lot, where on any given Friday night, we'll have 5,000 people in the stands, which for Delaware is a big deal, right?
Well, I think that's a unique aspect to it, and unique to the program, that you have the resources to be able to build the program up, add all those things to it. Being a private school and stuff like that, and it's obviously the results and the success is a huge part of what that is. Did you have like because there's been great history there. Did you when you took over change philosophies? Did you have to kind of just, okay, I'm just going to improve what we have? What was kind of your approach to that?
Yeah, so I took over. I replaced, actually, he coached me. His first year at Salesianum was my senior year, Bill DiNardo. He's the second all-time winningest coach in the state of Delaware. He's won 300 plus games. He's won multiple state titles. He's a great coach, a great leader of young men. He had a system that he believed in, that he did really well, and he taught me a lot about consistency, right? When I came in, I focused, we'll probably get more into this at some point, but I'm a little tired of the word culture, because it's like all you hear nowadays is like culture. Like, they got great culture. Well, like what is it? Like, what is culture? Like, what defines the culture, right? So like, I'm big on like commitments, and then like standards that we must live by, that just, if you do that, you'll have a good culture. Like, that takes care of itself. So what I'm getting at, Dave, is like, I was big on like, what's our thoughts going into the summer, right? Like, how are we becoming more leaders? Like, because I argue that if you take care of like standards within the locker room and have that tough man identity that everyone, like rallies around, that like the X's and O's are only 10% of it, right? Like we all run the same stuff. Like all us high school coaches, it's just different vocabulary. So like, yeah, like my system is your, right? Like my system is your system. Like we all know how to beat cover 4 or quarters or man, like whatever. But like, how do you turn these young boys into men and prepare them for the future to like where they go work when they're 40 years old? Like I tell the guys, I'm like, guys, like the Instagram likes and highlight reels, they're not cool. Like, yeah, you think they're cool, but they're not. What's cool is taking your family on a trip to Florida, right? What's cool is like running your own business. What's cool is making $1 million. And if like you believe that, and that's what we try to get these kids to buy into, like I said, catching a 5-yard hitch is easy, So that was like really what I really focused on. I created an acronym, SALS, service, accountability, leadership equals success. We all have those in high school, but just things like pillars that you try to live by each and every day to hold those kids to try to be winners. And that was kind of my focus in my short 3 years here.
No doubt. It's, I think that's really, attributed to obviously the great success you guys have had right away. I think your point on culture is definitely well noted. Like it just gets thrown around. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of different types of culture out there. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Is it good culture? Is it bad culture? Is it like
what is it? Right.
Right.
We're trying to build culture. Okay. Well, is it a winning culture? So I mean, those kind of things are important, and obviously, I think that when coaches are too big on wordplay,
yes, I hate it.
It's like, okay, like you're just trying to say what everybody else has told you what to say.
That's right.
Yes.
And you just that's what someone you work for talked about, and you just you're just regurgitating throw up of the same exact thing.
100%.
And it's not that people don't have success with it, because there are people that obviously there's a lot of places that have success doing that kind of stuff, but to me it's like I think things can break down over time if you're not real with what you're trying to do, and especially today's kid. You know what I mean? Like, because they're just getting information from 9,000 different places. Half of it misinformation, half of it real information. So they're looking for that, I think, authenticity more and more, and from their coaches. So I think that's really important, and people can see what you're doing, and then they can derive what the standard is from that. And obviously you put things on paper to try and get people to understand, but it's important to drive that every single day. Talk about kind of like things that you're always trying to get across to your players, and the things that you see on a day-to-day basis that you get that steady improvement from them.
It's funny, like this morning, because we just finished our week of mini camp, and this isn't me, but I stole it from Nick Saban, right? And I literally 2 hours ago told these guys this, and I'm like, and Saban said, he was like, what is your breaking point? Like what breaks you? Right. And I told the guys, it's like, we're all human. We have breaking points. Right. But I told the guys, like, as we get into the summer, like, think about what breaks you. Is it the heat? Well, that's soft. Right. Is it problems with your girlfriend? You're not going to date her 3 years from now. Right. Is it your mom told
3 weeks from now?
There you go. Is it your mom?
It's summer.
That's right. Is it your mom told you to take the trash out? That's weak. Right. So like, what is your breaking point? And don't allow these peripheral, I call it noise, like Instagram or X, it's noise, right? Like, don't allow what you see or hear break you. Now, if you get hurt, like, that's a shame. That's tough. Like, but how do you bounce back from it? Because what these guys are going to experience in their next 4 years with me in high school shouldn't break you. It shouldn't, right? Like, you failed a test. Like, okay, go get help from that teacher and bounce back. Right. So like, I try to teach them, like, be resilient, right? Like, this isn't the end of the world. Like, raise a family and get to where we are. Like, that's real life, you know? And I'm lucky, right? But like, what's your breaking point? And don't allow that breaking point to be, too soon, or I don't know what like, be hard, right? It's as simple as that. Like, my wife, who's tougher than I am, she told my daughter, my daughter's a basketball player coming to my rank. She's like, don't suck. Like, don't suck. But like, what is like being bad walking on the court? Like, I tell the guys,
right.
Like, no one's going to be mad at you for dropping a pass, right? Like, quarterbacks throw interceptions. But the one thing you can control is your effort. So don't walk off the field, right? Like, it sounds so simple, Dave and Derek, but it's like, it's hard. Those simple things are hard. Like, being consistent is hard. Showing up is hard.
And I think that's what separates football, coach, as well, right? Like, football is so different than other sports in itself, right? We practice way more than we play, right? Like, you don't have the opportunity to play in many games, right? Even if you look at your high school career, which is where it ends for majority of our players, right? Maybe not so much your guys, right? But like, in the majority of high school football players, like, what, 8% play at the next level? And that's NAIA through, TV games, you know what I'm saying? So when you really kind of break it down for the guys and you tell them, like, buddy, like, even if you start every game from the time you're a sophomore to a senior, which is not really the case for most guys either, like, how many games are you really going to partake in actual games, right? You practice so much more and you're training so much more, right? Off season for football, way different than off season for other sports where I'm on this travel team. I'm going here. I'm playing, 6 basketball games this weekend in an AAU tournament. I'm traveling to, South Carolina and playing in this baseball tournament. Like, okay, you could argue that flag and 7-on-7 culture is starting to kind of, give a little bit of that into the actual game of football, but we discuss it on here all the time. Flag football and 7-on-7 is not tackle football. So it's a totally different sport, and we'll argue that till the day we die. But at the same time, the consistency of showing up every day to practice, showing up in the off season to the weight room, showing up to mini camp, like, that's what separates the game itself. Your opportunities to play aren't that. And that's if you're a 2-year player, a two-way player, all your special teams from the time you're a sophomore to a senior, like, just add it up. How many games do you play in a year? All right, well, to win a championship, we got to win 15 games, right? Like, does every team play 15 games? No, man. You're probably averaging 9 to 10 a year. That's 30 games total in your entire life. It's why those guys at my program are still on the fence on Friday nights wearing their varsity jacket from 1972. Because football is just different. You can't go play in the men's league after it, right? It's not slow pitch softball. It's not a pickup basketball game at the Y or whatever it is. Like, the consistency to be good and partake in football takes way more than any other sport. And when you break it down, guys start to see, like, oh damn, right? Like, wow. It's why that junior that's now going to be a senior that hasn't played yet all of a sudden becomes an all division guy because it clicks for him. Right? Like, oh my goodness, I only have one more year of football to ever play. I think that itself is really hard as a coach to kind of get the message across to these guys. They realize it sometimes so late, right? Like, it's an eye opening, like, damn, I should have listened. I should have cared more, right? Like, hey, you're going to miss being out here in June when it's hot and we're running and doing conditioning stuff that, like, right now you hate and don't want to do it, but you'll miss that piece when it's not there. As a coach, it's hard to get that across to your guys on a consistent basis. Anybody can do it 1 year, right? But to win over and over, I think that's extremely important. So for you at your program, coach, like, what are some of those things that you kind of talk to those guys and preach when it comes to that aspect of it, of like, hey man, like, right now you're in this little protective bubble of what high school is, but when this breaks and you go to the next level or you go into the real world, like life's going to hit you in the face. So what are some of those like key elements that you kind of, preach to your guys or within the program?
So I think the best programs are player led, right? They're not coach led, right? So I try to, and our staff, like we really try to connect with our kids. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, whether that be like we're going up to Penn State next Thursday and we're renting like motor coaches and we're going to have fun and spend it. And all our coaches are going to be on the bus. And we're not just saying, hey, parent, show up. We got a 7-on-7 tournament at 9 a.m. Right. Like, and I try to so being a captain is it's big for every program, but it's really big at our program. The kids vote, we build it up. And it's like, I rely heavily on those captains to say to that sophomore, like, listen, man, I only got one more year. Like, this is hitting me. Like, you're going to work your ass off for me. You know what I mean? And if you can get you have 3 good captains and those kids buy into that captain, and that obviously the captains are going to buy into the coaches because they're the senior leaders and they've been around and they're starting and they're going to college and they're happy with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you can get the buy-in of the kids day one, dude, you're in. Like, you're set as a program, right? But it's hard, and it takes the latter part of the summer. But the best programs are player-led. I mean, I can get up on the whiteboard and write all the acronyms I want, but in the end, that freshman and sophomore are still going to look to that cool senior captain and how he acts, how he operates, how he responds to me. So we put a lot of emphasis on the leaders and building those seniors up. In terms of the real world, we're in the city of Wilmington in the outskirts, and we'll take them to some spots, and you think you got it tough, welcome to the east side of Wilmington, and these people are fighting, God bless them, for every day of their lives. Like, you guys are lucky you're at a private school where your tuition's $22,000 a year. Like, you're doing just fine there, little Jimmy, And I think look, life is too short to sugarcoat things, being transparent and hitting them in between the eyes sometimes. That's what these kids need to hear. And I think a lot of times we go back to the social media, and I put a lot of stock on the parents. If your son's not getting the job done, tell him. Right? I'll tell my daughter, no one's fault. You turn the ball over. Right? And I think parents nowadays need to get a little better at that, quite honestly. Right. Because it becomes the coach's fault. Right? And we know that. So, player-led programs, being 1,000,000% transparent and honest day one and living to those standards every day of being honest and not sugarcoating. And, hey, listen, son, you're not going to go to the University of Delaware. You're going to go play at PSAC football in D2. It just is what it is. And if you want to play college football, then follow that path that I'm going to provide for you. And guess what? If you don't like it, then leave. God bless you. Leave. Don't be a part of the program. That's okay. So.
No doubt about it. I think that's such an important thing for parents to understand. And I think that's one of the things, too, that a lot of coaches have really gotten better at in the last few years because of the changes in a lot of things with kids moving around and stuff like that. That, you know what, you're much better off just having the people that want to be in your program, and they'll be better off being in the program that they want to be in, right? And I think parents are still surprised by when you just tell them good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even kids. Kids, I could understand why they would be surprised because they're looking for a little more love or whatever. But I think parents are like, what? My kid's a good player, and they don't always understand that it's not just about being a good player. You have to be able to be on board with the program, and be on board with what's going on, and contribute to that and be a part of that contribution. Where I think there was a culture maybe 15 years ago where players could. It's one of these ironies of the college transfer portal where the college transfer portal started out where coaches were held hostage to the players, and the coaches had to figure out, how am I going to adapt to that? And they started to adapt to that. Be like, if you want to be here, great. If you want to transfer here, great. You got to do what we need you to do. If you don't, we're not taking you. And so many kids have gotten left in the transfer portal because they didn't understand that.
Yeah.
And I think that trickles down to high school, where in the last 5 years, moving to different schools and all that stuff. And every coaches have really become like, okay, great. You want to come to this school? Great. You got to be part of what we're doing. No problem. If you don't want to be part of our doing, like, there's other places you can go. You know what I mean? And go do that. Like, or find another sport that you want to play. You know what I mean? Like that you think might fit you better, right? You know, not everybody's cut out to be in a team sport. You know, and so that's okay. Like, if you want to, there are sports that, if you want to majority of it to be about you, there are other sports you can play that might fit into that. Well, you still got to be coachable, but might fit into it better for you, where it's really more about you and your own performance. So I think that part's changed a lot. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that, like how you see things from that standpoint. I know you touched a little bit on it, but dive a little more.
It's a great point. So, and we talked a little bit about Delaware, right? So every day we hear, oh, that Delaware kid's not going to get recruited because he plays Delaware football, right? So for us, we play a lot of PA teams, we're scrimmaging DePaul Catholic, all that. So, like, our schedule is a little different, but, like, you get kids all the time. And I had a kid a couple years ago, like, I'm transferring to the big old bad DMV, right? Because I'm going to get Power 4 offers. Okay, well, really? Because you're not Jeremiah Smith, right? Like, there's a reason why kids from South Florida, Jeremiah Smith from Aquinas, go to Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith's 6'5", 230 pounds, and he runs a 4.3 40, right? Like, right? Like, Malachi Tony runs a 4.2, and he's unbelievable, and he can reclass up, and he's a freak.
Yeah,
like,
he's on the cover of the fucking. He's on the cover of the game, for Christ's sake.
That's right.
You know?
No disrespect, but you're not Jeremiah Smith. You're not Malachi Tony, and you'll never be them, right? So, like, okay, so, like, how do you critique my pro? Like, you're not getting recruited? Well, I've sent 30 kids to play college football, right? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want to play PSAC D2? You don't want to go to Westchester up the street? Well, you're not going to go to, again, Delaware or Maryland or anywhere, Rutgers. It's just the facts, right? So we deal with a little bit of that because we're in Delaware. Now, how do I try to, like, quiet that narrative? We play a rigorous out-of-state schedule, right? So we're going to scrimmage St. Joe Prep. You know, the kids are going to see Marvin Harrison, the 2028 number 1 recruit, right? I mentioned DePaul Catholic. We're getting up into North Jersey. We played LaSalle and Joey O'Brien, who's at Notre Dame, and they were 24th when we played them, and we played Malvern Prep. So I say, okay, fine. Like, I get it. Delaware high school football could be down in some places. Like, well, then come to us, and you're going to get the exposure that DMV, Philly, and North Jersey all have, right? Like, so scheduling's big. We've been lucky enough because of our school administration. You know, we've had a nice program. I mean, this year we could have 9 to 10 transfers coming in, right? So, but what I do with every transfer that comes in is I meet with him and the parents together, so they both hear the same narrative. And I'm like, I will never promise you playing time. Playing time is earned, right? And the best play. And it sounds simple, but I don't care if you're a freshman or senior. I mean, I've had kids have come into sophomores who've taken a returning starter senior's job. But if you tell the parents and the kid that day one, so when you get that parent calling you and see them, like, I told you this. Like, I'm not lying. Right. So the transfers, Dave, like, I like bringing them in when they tour the school, and you got to, you know, be up front to their parents, you know, in front of our admissions director so he can hear it too. So everyone's message is uniform. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, the transfer portal's real, you know. It's in high school.
Oh, it is real.
And I think, again, like, I go back to honesty and transparency. That's huge. And then, you know, like, if you want to be one of the better ones in Mid-Atlantic region, and, you know, Bergen Catholic and Don Bosco are top 10 in the country, you can't sleep, man. You got to continue to adapt every day. And if we want to beat the Middletowns and the Philly Catholic League teams, like, we have to work our tails off. So staying current is big. Being a current program, I think, is important. I think a lot of these coaches get complacent. And they just, after a while, they just collect paychecks, right? And they like saying that they're a football coach. But, like, what are you doing?
I call them, those are the guys that I call them the polo check collectors, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for the polo. I've done it. I won my whatever, and now I can just coast.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
It's like, hey, man, like, I like
ever
throwing
changing.
the ball. Yeah. I like throwing the ball. I like being I was a quarterback, but, like, the offense changes every year, you know? And, like, you better, like, for me, like, you go up and visit these schools and learn about their RPO game. Like, you got to stay current because kids are smart, you know? Kids are smart nowadays because there's a lot on these phones. So they do see
everything they could possibly see, right? Like, and they see through the bullshit too, right? Like, I feel like a lot of these kids, you know, even where like I'm at, you know, Central Jersey here, the Shore Conference, like, you know, the kids we're a public school, and it's about development and finding the right spot for guys, or creating, you know, an offense or a defense. Like, you can find a role and maximize a kid's certain ability, right? Like, not everybody is going to fit into a cookie cutter model of this is what we do, this is how we do it, and here's what it is. Well, if you want to be any good, you better start tweaking your offense or your defense, especially in a public school setting where, like I said, we get what we get. So that kid that you look at as a freshman and can barely tie his shoes, and you know what I'm saying? Like, well, by the time he's a senior, make him an all-division kid, right? But don't also at the same time just write him off because of what he is now, right? Like, to me, the appeal of coaching and why I continue to do it, this will be year 17, why I got into it, is to take that kid from something he isn't and pull out what he actually is that he doesn't see yet, right? And that's the support system you give him, the day in, day out of working with him and what's going on, you know what I mean? Like, not so much even just the X's and the O's and the actual, like, physical weight room stuff. It's like getting to know who he is, right? Or, you know, look, I coach girls flag, same gig, right? Like, what she is. Do you know their family? Do you know their brother and sister, right? Like, connect and get with them on that level, because once that they see that their coach is invested in more than just a touchdown machine or what they can do for you on the field, like, now you have more of an opportunity to really impact that guy, to allow him or her to really reach their full potential on an entirely different level, because they know you're invested way more than just what they can do on Friday night. You know, that comfort level of where they can open up like that. It's just so, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you can't get anywhere else outside of coaching.
You hit it, man, because, like, you were talking about development and then becoming like forming your offense around the development of the player. You know, live period's awesome for recruiting because, like, we see 60 college coaches that come in your school, right? Like, to recruit the kids. But what's cool is like, you get airtime with these coaches, and I'll never forget. I'm not going to mention his name, but man, it was awesome. And he was like, we were talking about scheme and like boundary X slot or boundary X 4-step glance routes and all that stuff. Like, we were into the X's and O's, and he was like, Coach, slow down. He was like, do yourself a favor, and I still will never erase this off my board. He was like, write these 3 words down in this order. And he was like, it was awesome. He was like, number 1, period, players. It's like, okay. He was like, number 2, period, formations. And then he was like, number 3, period, plays. And he's like, because where I'm going with this, players matters the most, right? And developing the players and getting your right people in the formation, right? And then from whatever works to get that kid the ball that you've developed, that's a stud, then there's your play. Like, so stop worrying about, you know, like, I love Dan Casey, and I know he's awesome. But like, let's stop worrying about like putting his play of the day into your offense, because does it work to get your guy the ball? You know what I mean? So it's right. To your point, Derek, it's like molding kids getting your best ones the ball, adapting on a yearly basis in terms of like, what do you have? Are you more of a 12 personnel team? All right, well then you better be able to run the ball too and then take shots, So yeah, players, formations, plays.
I think that's 100% the case. I mean, players are the key aspect to success, and getting them the ball is the key aspect of figuring out how to do that. And we overvalue our abilities to out scheme and undervalue how much the players mean, And
good point.
It's funny, parents. This is where the hardest part for parents, I think, is like when they watch coaches coach and like the game goes on, and like I always say that most of the games, if one side has significant more talent than the other, that side's going to win no matter what they do, whether they run wing T, spread, turn around and just
especially in football.
In football. Yeah. I mean, in other sports too,
true.
You know what I mean? But scheme only really begins to make a difference in how you use the players, really become a big difference once you get close in talent, and then that makes a big difference. And then when it's even in talent, obviously you could really, have an impact from game to game. But it's still, I think that like the Jimmies and Joes are a huge part of it, and getting them to buy into what you want them to do is the biggest part. Like the day-to-day, getting them better, has a huge impact that shows up on game day. And then you might have to just make sure that you're doing getting the ball in the right guy's hands. And then there might be a few calls that might be pivotal that you got to get right. And every once in a while you come up with something cute that might work here or there, but it's not all the time, because if it works this week, then they prepare for it. So the thing cute you might have done, it may not be work the next week. And I think that's also changed a lot with the game because of the fact that like there's so many innovations that whether it's spread or whether you see like what Bixby does, and but they're kind of they're all things that like succeed because of the fact that they're doing the things they need to do every single day, right? With the play, and one of the things that was eye-opening in our conversation with Bixby, I thought, was not their scheme and everything, but was their emphasis on making sure they get the best players to come to their school. So, like at the end of the day, like, take the worst team in Delaware and have them put in Bixby's offense. You're not scoring points until they improve the guys. And with football, once you start putting everything out into social media, like once the clips start getting out there, defensive coordinators are writing down ways to stop it.
Absolutely.
I mean? Yeah. So, and I think that's what makes football great, by the way, to me, is that like, cool, man, you had an innovation that works for several years, and if you have more talent, it'll continue to work. But if you take that and now run into someone with the same talent, and let's see if they know how to scheme it up and stop it, right, and prepare to stop it, and see if it works in the same fashion. And I think that's what makes football great. And whatever your philosophy is of what you do, like just become great at it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a wing T guy, but there are things in the wing T blocking scheme wise that I love, right?
Yep.
So, pin and pull is a wing T thing, right? So there's pin and pull is great. So when people are like, I'm spread pin and pull, I'm like, well, you don't like the word wing T, but you got your blocking scheme from there.
Yeah, you studied it.
Yep. So I mean, that's an important thing to understand that I think, and I'd love you to talk about it. So I'm curious your success with younger coaches as they come in with you, because I think that's the number one thing that young coaches come in with, that they think that they just invented the wheel. And And like, how do you develop them? What are things you have to do to continue to develop them? And are they a part of your makeup on your coaching staff?
I think it's funny. We talked about this today. I think every high school coach, and especially young high school coaches, the first thing they need to think about when they're like thinking about schemes is the amount of time per week that they have. And it's not a lot, right? Because if you look at a prototypical Friday night game week, okay, so let's just say you play on Friday nights, right? Chances are you're off on Saturday, or you bring them in, or you're watching film, but you're not doing much, right? Sunday, like our weekends are off because I want our guys to go on recruiting visits and spend time with family, right? But like, so you're doing like a coach's meeting on Sunday, you're talking about scheme, right? Monday you're reviewing, you're walking through, right? Monday's like, you're getting like 20 minutes. So you're only, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are your time, right? To install, implement, game plan. And an hour of that's got to be spent on D, and an hour that's got to be spent on offense, plus or minus, regardless of how you're breaking up your practice. Thursday's walkthrough for the game, right? So like when you really condense down a game week, because everyone's off-season rules are different. Some people aren't out in summer, right? So no one's doing OTAs every week. No one's doing what colleges do. No one's really breaking down film 4 nights a week, blah, 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 right? So these young guys, like I had a guy to me, yo, coach, we need to get under center. Okay, well, convince me why, right? Play action's better. Run game, fine. Running back can get down there. Okay, fine. But if you want to be under center, you have to practice that. But we also want to do RPOs out of shotgun, so you got to practice that. And you want to throw the ball, and you like some air raid scheme. You see what I'm saying? So, like, all these young guys that see all this on social media or clinics, like, I try to tell them, well, what's our identity? Like, do we have a big offensive line? Well, then we're going to run the ball. And then, okay, maybe under center's fine. Or do we have 4 speed guys out on the wide? Then we need to get them the ball, which means we need to work on our concept passing, our screens, which means we don't have any time to work under center. You see what I'm saying? So, like, understanding the practice week and the time that you have is huge for high school sports, right? And in the offseason, like our kids play basketball, they play baseball. You may not see them again until July so you have a month with them before August camp starts, right? So getting them to understand the schedule, I think, is really important because they all want to do everything and they all want to be a million different offenses, and that's just impossible, you know?
Coach, I'm interested in that because you touched on it a little bit right there. Like your program itself, right? Obviously, like you talked about it, what's your roster size like? And then how many of those guys are multi-sport guys within it? Because look,
a great question.
Being a guy, I was at Bosco in 2012 for a year. So I really got to see how that worked in the forefront of it. You know what I mean? Like the level of just, honestly, guys ask me all the time, like public, private, like what's your, but the buy-in from those guys, not just because they were Don Bosco, right? But you talked about the brotherhood and all of those kind of things, right? The all boy aspect of it, right? Guys mock it or whatever it is, but to see like the relationships that those guys, and look, you want to talk about competition, like 2001 Miami Hurricanes, right? Like practice was harder than games for these guys because they got after each other's asses like no other, right? Like good on good, 2 platoon teams, we're offense, we're defense, like every single day, whether it was Bergen week or whether we were playing Gilman School, right, in Maryland or whatever it was, they got after it. And that aspect of it, to see that brotherhood, but then to see them also do other things within the, and how they cheered for each other when they did other sports, right? Like that aspect of the program itself. Talk about that a little bit, if you could, Coach. Like how many of you guys are multi-sport guys? What's your roster size? Because I just think that stuff is just so different when it comes to like your situation in your school.
We have 180 kids in the football program. 180.
Got it.
So I joke that like our football community almost makes up 20% of the student population. So we don't cut. And I mentioned like our alumni, like a lot of the kids, which makes it really cool. Like they're just happy to wear the gold helmet, right? And like a lot of kids, like some of, 180 kids. So there's a lot of kids that like may never even play. Like they may never even see it down other than some mop up time. But man, they take unbelievable pride in the program. Their dad played, right? So they're wearing the helmet, and they make for awesome scout team players, right? Which contribute to awesome practices. We're lucky. Our scout teams, they are friggin' phenomenal kids. And they just to go against that kid who's going to Rutgers or Georgia, like they're proud that they got to practice and guard that kid, So 180 kids. We have 2 freshman teams. We have close to 30 kids. We have 30 coaches in the program. We're only allowed to carry 60 per DIAA varsity rules and regulations. So we're constantly moving kids, thinking of ways to practice better, more efficient. Sometimes we'll bring the JV up to practice with us. Sometimes we'll send them down. Sometimes so I mean, it's a true full-time job in terms of just roster management.
Yeah. You need a GM.
Exactly. It's a lot. But it's a good problem to have, So 180 kids. Like you mentioned about Don Bob, the brotherhood, I have rarely had to ask them for more effort. I mean, I'm never like, this is a flat practice. Really not. Like these kids, they care more about the school than they do the sport. You know what I mean? Which is cool, because man, do they want to win. And like our student body, again, all boys, I think we were rated the best student section in the country last year, or top, by one, like some, account, but.
And right? It's in an era where the name on the back matters more than the name on the front with NIL and all that kind of stuff. Like the team aspect of like, hey, I'm going to stick around and fight because I know we're going to win a championship. Right. Like, no, I'm going to leave and go take more money at this school. Right. Like it's really, just a different era for these guys. Right. Like, and look, Dave and I both come from smaller high school programs, you know what I mean? Where, we were the guys and that's what it was. Like we were also the guys in every other sport that we played, you know what I'm saying? Just because the numbers didn't warrant any of that other stuff happening, right? Like if you were a good player, you had to play other sports for those other sports to compete at any point, So I think they're getting that experience. It's just so different to hear, a lot of guys deal with the me aspect of like sports in general now. And when you hear that guys buy into the program, like we just want to win, right? I always reference that too with the effort. Guys ask me what was the biggest difference coaching there or coaching public or whatever. And that's my answer. Effort. Like I never had to coach a guy to like, hey, come on, man, pick it up. Let's go. Because the 8th receiver in my room wanted to get after it just as bad on a random Wednesday practice in the middle of September as the one did. Like the effort aspect was never in question. That was the biggest difference for me.
I think you brought up a great point though, that like we should touch on, if you guys don't mind briefly, is the multi-sports, right? Because like, this is a conversation that we hear every day.
That's where, I would love to hear it.
And like, I actually have, I would say kind of a different take than the status quo, because yes, our multi-sport athletes, great. Of course. Is it good for their mental health and for them to do different things and movements? Yes. But here's the thing. What do you want to be as a program? And where do you want to go as a kid? For example, my daughter, because of her aunt, my sister Elena, she wants to play in the women's Final Four, right? So what does that mean?
No doubt.
You better fucking train basketball in the summer and not play lacrosse. It's just, just the facts. You better be at the Nike Invitational in Vegas in July and then in Chicago and not swimming in a pool. There's a time and place for that, right? And you can't go room and board at a volleyball camp. I'm sorry, if you want to be the best, right? Now, if you want to be a cute player and if your team wants to be 5-5 and you want to play lower level ball, yes, I agree. It's all great. But if you want to beat LaSalle and Bergen Catholic, well, guess what, D. Lyman at Salesianum, you better be in the weight room in January. You have to, right? Now, do a lot of our guys play basketball? Yes, a few. Do some of them play baseball? A couple, but not much. Because, I just go back to, And nowadays with travel and all, whether it's good or bad, and 7-on-7 and AAU basketball and travel baseball, they're all year round. They are. So it's the necessary evil. But like I told my daughter, like, again, you want to play for Dawn Staley? Well, guess what? You better play all summer. And I think you have to do that. I just do. I get the multi-sport is great for it, but I'm not like, I think there's an argument for the other way. Like, it just in terms of where are the kids' goals?
Right. I think that too, like that. And that's obviously the biggest question, right? Is
how good you are dictates that, right? A lot of it.
100%. Right? Yeah. And that stuff doesn't come till later either, right? Like, hey, you could be a multi-sport guy, but when you start to get to, 7th, 8th grade, like now we should start veering into a lane of like, all right, is this going to be my sport? Is that going to be my sport? Right. Like, because you just don't really know until you get through that puberty stage. Right? We have this discussion all the time. We all know the kid that middle school was an absolute phenom, stud, all that shit. And then you never heard from him in high school. Oh, he's still on the roster. He just was bigger, faster, stronger before everybody hit that thing. Right. So it's the hardest evaluation time period in my mind is that 7th, 8th grader. Like, what are they? When does it hit? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really hard to project what they're going to be, but there is 100% an argument where you could stand on either side of the multi-sport athlete when it comes to
there's been cases
at the high school level. No doubt, right? Like, no doubt. But I'll be damned if, one of those first things that college coach coming in the building asks is what other sports do they do?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and it's like,
it's just kind of part of it.
Are those receivers running track? Yeah, and that's great. But they're also not missing their football workout,
No doubt.
And you best believe
which is why we've had the argument too, like when we talk to those guys from Texas, where the first block of the day is football practice, right? Because it's athletic period, where the structure of the calendar and how the day goes through that, right? Where you're not forcing a kid to lift at 5:30 because they have a basketball game, or they're, know what I mean? Like now they're not getting lifts in because they're playing the other sport because the baseball coach is against them working out for football, even though he knows that football's this kid's kind of ticket. It's like, all right, well, what are we doing here? Right? Like, who's really in the forefront of like, do we have the whole athlete first mentality, or are you just trying to, use guys for whatever it is? It's an argument that's, I don't know if it'll ever be solved.
It won't.
I think that's the when you get out of the Northeast and you get to the South, that's one of the areas that they have an advantage. So because the structures are more aligned with like this kind of much more that sports is a big part of everybody's life all the time, that that they have those periods where you can work out, where Georgia, obviously Texas, South Carolina, a lot of those places have it. Not everywhere yet. Some of the parochial schools or private schools at maybe in Florida or California may even have it, right? But it's not a huge thing in the Northeast yet, which I think has to, like, since we're basically phys ed has become, which I don't agree with, by the way. I think phys ed is incredibly important, but it's basically become roll out the balls because all the new teachers don't do anything. So or they just do fun activities just to like babysit them. I think that you could better use that time for athletes, and I think that would allow kids to be able to play a second sport with success, and if not like somewhat cut up their nose to spite their face. I do believe that some of it, when you get to high school, and as it starts to shake out, like when they're moving from like freshmen to some varsity, they, depending on how good they are, is going to dictate how much they could be a two-sport athlete. Not that they obviously have to get lifts and stuff, but like the better you are, the more opportunity you're going to have to be able to do that and have success. And when college coaches, to me, talk about, we recruit 2 or 3 sport athletes, Yes, because you recruit the very best athletes. So the very best athletes can play 2 and 3 sports. So like that's almost like when you say that.
That's a good point.
When you say that that's a caveat for me recruiting you, you're only saying that that's a caveat because of the fact that you know that the kids that are good enough to do that, let's say in Texas, all right, or at your school where you're playing higher level competition, the only athletes that can do that are probably going to be recruitable athletes. I'm going to take linemen out of that for the most part because linemen are maybe a little bit different in the development process. Not that Ron Dane, who was a fullback in obviously Heisman Trophy winner, he might still hold. I mean, for a long time held the New Jersey record in the discus. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you see Ron Dane throw 219 feet in the discus, okay, or 216 feet, whatever crazy throw he had and you're like, yeah, he's a Division I athlete, no doubt about it, right? Like, I mean, nobody goes over 200 feet unless they're a Division I athlete at something. So, and probably did the discus and shot put part time, which is what makes it even more amazing, right? That like. So, like when Bo Jackson talks about that, he triple jumped 50 feet. Yeah, and basically rolled out there and triple jumped 50 feet. He's a freak. So when they say that they're recruiting 3-sport athletes, they prefer 3-sport athletes. I think it's a lot of it is, okay, I get a 3-sport athlete. This kid's that good. They can play 3 sports, still like an all-state guy. Now I get him. And he's playing 1 sport, and he's doing everything for that 1 sport. And now, I got myself an All-American. So I think there's a little bit of that. And linemen are a little different in football, so it may not apply but the skill position, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith ran 13.4 or 5 in the 110 hurdles. You know what I mean? Robert Griffin III was a 400-meter intermediate hurdles. I don't know if it was. I think he was a national record holder at one point. But so yeah, those are no-brainers. You know what I mean? Like that's an East basketball player. That's Randy Moss, all-state basketball player, right? Like Jay Williams, like that 40 for 4 or whatever it was called. On ESPN, he's throwing alley-oops to Randy Moss. You know what I mean? And then Randy Moss goes out and runs a 21-second 200-meter dash in the state championships, and then by the way goes as the best baseball player on the baseball team. So I mean, yeah, those things absolutely right. So I think that's also an important thing for athletes to understand. Where are you in the pecking order of everything? Okay, and you may still play another sport as your second sport or third sport or whatever. But understand where you are in the pecking order and understand where your focus has to be. If it's football, that's your sport that you want to make as your priority. Like you talked about with your daughter, right? Like you might still play volleyball. You might be an all-state volleyball player. Yeah. But if you want to be a Division I basketball player, you have to go and do as Delle Donnes do if they want to play basketball, right? And put everything into it, and you're going to have a great chance to have success there. It doesn't mean that you can't be a great volleyball player, right? And you know what? If you are good enough, you get recruited in both, and then you shift your gears, right? Junior year, you decide. You know what? I thought I did all these things, and I thought that this is where I wanted to be. And turns out, I think I might like volleyball better. And then I'm going to kind of shift my gears there. And you could do that. So, but I do think you kind of, just like in jobs in life, right? Like, you can't go through college and not try to pick an avenue of learning that can get you a job in the future, right? And if you don't do that, if you don't use a path, then you have nowhere to go, right? If you just go and take some major and that doesn't put you in a position. Now, you could always change your path. Like you go work for a couple of years and decide that that's not your path, right? But if you don't choose a path, that's how people end up floating for 10 years. And then,
Absolutely.
So I think that's
clear direction.
I think that's a great point on all the stuff with respect to sports, because that's a great debate. Like, you watch all these youth shows and stuff, and they talk about this all the time. And I think that's a missing part of it. Like, you got to know who you are as an athlete, and that can change.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
I think it's an important thing, and it's like, I use this, like, I was really the best sport when I was growing up that I had. I told Derek this a million. I was a great wrestler, great wrestler. My parents threw me in because I was a lunatic at 6 years old, and they couldn't figure out what to do with me and my brother, and they made us wrestle. He was 5 and I was 6, and the program didn't start till you were 8 at the time. Now they all start young, and we were just great, man. We were great wrestlers, like unbelievable wrestlers. And both me and my brother did not. In 8th grade, we were just like, we're not doing it in high school. The coaches, they hated us because we didn't do it. You know what I mean? Luckily, my father was a teacher in the school, so. But, my brother liked track. Like, I liked football. Like, I was going to do everything for that, right? So my second sport was track, to be able to help that, right? And so, I had track scholarship offers, but it didn't matter to me. Like, like my father was like, well, why don't you go look at these schools? I'm like, I want to play football. Like, I have a scholarship offer for football. I'm going to play football, So I think that's important for athletes to understand that. And then now you couldn't. Like, if I senior year all of a sudden just said, hey, you know what? I had scholarship offers in football. I don't want to do football. I want to run track. Like, I would have went and you can go and do that. And I think that's important for parents, because there's a lot of stuff with the youth that's out there, and they're like, you should all play multiple sports. I agree with that to a point.
Yes.
Point meaning, as they start to mature physically, you got to figure out, like, do they need to go? Like, if I'm a limited athlete in something, like, but if I put everything into it, baseball is one of my examples on this. Okay, because people chastise baseball players for going all in, and like, if I'm a baseball player and I have okay athletic ability, I may not be a Division I baseball player, but maybe I could play at Division III. And baseball in 9th grade, and I get my skill really good at hitting. I become a really good fielder, but maybe I'm limited at the elite level. I could as a baseball player. Now, other sport coaches might get really upset at that, right? They might get really upset at that. But I think that's important to know, like, hey, I'm not that great of an athlete. And if I do all these other things, I'll just be not that good at anything, know? And I think that's an important thing in the kind of whole debate. I'd love for you, I probably preach it to the choir, so you don't have to touch on it. We go to another topic, but I'd love for you to get your thoughts on those kind of things, because you kind of brought it up with the athletic part of it.
I think kids need direction, and I think it's our job as parents, and coaches to give them that direction, right? And you mentioned it, Dave, was like, if I got a fringe player, right, who he could be the 6th best receiver, and, so like he's going to play if there's injuries, right? If he's a fringe, like a fringe starter, I should say, and he also is contemplating whether to play lacrosse, and in lacrosse, he may never touch the field because our lacrosse team's nationally ranked. They've won state title, right? Well, he shouldn't play lacrosse. He shouldn't. Because you're going to spend all spring sitting on the sidelines doing nothing, cheering on your guys. Yes, you'll practice here and there. And then you're going to come back to football, and now you're going to be the 7th, 8th guy because you've done nothing. Right? So that's a case where I think, dude, you should focus on football. If you got a chance to start, you're already the 6th out of the 4-man. Dive in, right? Dive in, regardless of where you're going to do in college. I'm talking high school only, right? The elite are the elite. We've talked about that, right? Like the best receivers normally are good basketball players. And of course, a coach from Miami is not going to mind that he plays basketball, right? But I think that the fringe aspect of starting or sitting is real. And that those kids need to be told, listen, man, you want to go play in the sun in lacrosse and you like your buddy who's the best player, great, fine, be happy. But it may cost you in the long run on the football field.
Right.
You know, do parents want to hear that? Some of them don't. You know, some of them will understand. But, hey, it's our job to explain that to the kid. And that's kind of my stance.
Absolutely. It's a great point. And knowing what you love is such a big deal as you get older.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know what sports you actually love and the ones you like.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Meaning, okay, I can participate in these, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to put the time in because I love this. And if you're good enough to start in those, awesome. You know, like you could like a sport and still be good enough to play it.
It's real world. Like it's like you said, Dave, if you want to be a CFO of a finance company or a CFO for any company for that matter, you better go major in finance.
No doubt.
You know, don't go to law school, right? Like it's reality. Don't major in history. You're not going to be a teacher, right? Go get that finance degree. Right?
Absolutely.
Go take economic classes. Like it's just, again, it's real life.
One of the things I always like say to my son when he feels like he doesn't want to do something, I said, dude, you don't have to play sports, right? You can, but you're gonna have to be good at something. So if it's not gonna be sports, like if you don't want to play sports, then you better become the best chess player.
Yeah, it's a good
or the
point.
best this, or figure out how to find something you like to do. And then usually it comes back that he wants to sports, but that's just, but everybody has to figure out, like, sports is a great avenue for young people to get outside and do things. And the whole explosion in the sports culture, where everybody has to play sports and like have to be serious in sports. Like, I think that's a mistake for a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people should play recreation sports until they figure out if they're good enough to be like a serious athlete, or if they want to be a serious athlete. Because otherwise you spend some of these parents are spending thousands and tens of thousands of dollars every single year, and their kid doesn't even care. Like, if he's there, like, why are you doing that to yourself? But he might care about something else. He might care about, like, building houses. I don't know.
I think you see it with a lot of parents who have never been there before.
Yeah.
That's trying to live
part of it.
They're trying to live vicariously through their kid.
No doubt.
And they're forcing their kids to be in spots they don't want to be in,
Right.
It's like, hey, parent XYZ, hey, Gene Delvedon, look yourself in the mirror, dude. Like, just because you didn't make it to the Final Four, maybe your daughter don't want to go. Now, obviously she did, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's the conversation that the parents need to have with themselves. It's like, don't put poor little, Mary on that soccer team and that travel soccer team. She don't want to do it.
Right.
Don't want to do it.
But she might want to be on the rec team.
Let her enjoy rec.
She might want to be on the rec team with her friends and 100%.
Put her in the YMCA league. That's okay.
Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. Like, or maybe that's where you start to feel it out. And then it's like, oh, well, if she's in the backyard kicking this thing around, maybe I should get her into something else. You know what I'm saying? Because, or maybe I should get, like, more so of this. Like, there's a progression of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and it used to start at a rec league, or, hey, I can't, like, guess what we did in gym class today, right? Like, and I had a lot of fun. Then it became rec league, right? Like, there was a progression. Now it's flipped on its head of, oh, wait, like, you kicked the ball one time, said you liked it. Let me put you on this AAU travel team for, 10 G's, and we're traveling all over the country. And it's like, Mom, Dad, I don't really want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's a total flip in the model of kind of how it was when we were younger. And it's a lot of it has to do with, in my opinion, right, like the social media and the whole, like, oh, well, my son does it. That means Tommy has to do it. Billy has to do it, right? Keeping up with the Joneses for what you're talking about in the bleachers, right? Like, that's not everybody has to play sports on that level, right? And I think that's a big difference too. And we talk about it all the time, is like, not everybody played sports when we were in school, and that was totally okay, dude. Right? Like,
but
they do this on weekends. We do this on weekends. Difference. Go ahead, Coach.
You know what our parents were doing for us, at least mine were, as opposed to finding the cool thing on Instagram or the cool trainer who thinks he's cool. They were looking for the legit coaches, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And like, listen, like you may even not even like the school, but you want him to play for Dave Schumann, like he's going to go play for Dave Schumann because Schumann's a good coach. And I don't think there's enough of that right now. I think it's like, man, this guy's got the fresh Nike shoes on and the cool Drake rap song on his training video. My son's going to go train with him. Well, where does that trainer come from? Where did he play?
Right.
Where are his parts? You know,
right. What does he do? Oh, no, wait. He's just trying to book the next 10 sessions for, you know what I mean? And we talk about it too. Like these trainers now, and like there's somewhat of a trend of like current players training younger kids. And it's like, dude, you're just following whatever your summer workout is, and you're trying to make a couple extra bucks, where parents now look and they're like, wow, he's back from school. Let's get some sessions. And that's where real injuries happen, because they're training young kids, and these guys that are coming back from school are trying to have them do things that, you know, they're barely capable of doing at a collegiate level, yet they have fifth graders because mom and dad watched this kid play at high school, and now all of a sudden he's their trainer. Like,
I don't
vet what you're doing.
I don't train kids for that reason. It just feels like you're stealing money from parents. Like, you want your kid to come play for me, then come to the school, right? And I'll train them at the school. I only train our players because, you know, they're my guys and they care about the school, and I feel the duty to service our kids that the parents are providing, you know, paying for to go to that school. But I refuse to be a trainer.
It's one of the crazy things that
it's wild.
Like I'm a big believer of like in the speed, like we do a lot of stuff at speed, like, and I think we had Chris Corfus on, Derek, right? Yeah, we had a specific thing we talked about. He always says an interesting thing, and like he's a different cat, but like he always says an interesting thing. He's like, I show the parents what I do in like speed training, and they either think that's for them or not. Like, I'm not getting into like, he's
not trying to sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I don't like, I work with some kids on stuff here and there. I don't try to sell anybody, because I was in the training room for a long time, and I remember what that was like. And that you end up getting into like all these different kind of like, well, she needs to have a better first step so she could. It's like, dude, like, this is what we do. This is what our development process is. And the customization could be a little bit on this, but nothing beyond that. Like, this is what you're coming here for, you know? And I'm not doing the cool drills. Like, the drills that work are the drills that you need to be doing. The cool drills are so, I think some of it's so beyond ridiculous. Like, my favorite thing that I think is the most ridiculous is the 50 million change directions in a like 10-yard sequence. And
how about just like, running? Yeah.
Like what like he changed direction 50 times. After the first 5, he's not going full speed. So what are we working on? You know?
Dave, I sat in a spring ball meeting at a Big Ten school. I won't mention where I was. Right. But it's so funny you say that, because they're watching film. It's a receiver group. And the kid's like, yeah, but coach, I stemmed the DB, tried to open his hips, change speed, change direction. Right? And it was in 10 yards. And the receivers coach, I'll quote him. He goes, son, the kid's name, blah, blah, blah. He goes, how about you just fucking run? Just run. Full speed, right? How about you just full speed run? And you'll be fine. You know, it's like, good Lord. And like these parents, they're finding the right trainer like you, Dave, or like Derek. Like these parents, they want their kid to be speed and training. You're better off spending $1,000 on a plane ticket to Fort Lauderdale. Pay Mike Smith $2,000, whatever it is, for a full day, whatever he wants. Spend $3,000 on visiting Mike Smith, and he'll teach you the mechanics of the run, as opposed to paying some of these jokers $10,000 over the course of a year, right? Like the guy that trains my daughter, like he's trained Elena. He's almost 60 years old, right? The guy drinks beer on a Friday night. He don't look like LeBron James, right? Like,
right.
He knows the game.
I see this all over the internet. Okay.
And he had your sister playing for a long career.
My trainer should look like he could do the drill. What?
Right.
Sorry, buddy. Some of us don't look like we can even freaking ever play a snap.
I understand why you want optics, but like you want the person that's showing you that's teaching the drill to be able to teach the drill, the mechanics of the drill, or whatever you're trying to get accomplished. So they're able to do that drill or that task or that movement or that skill the right way. Like, yep. I don't care if he looks like Brad Pitt or you know, a monster. Okay, like
hey, Andy Reid doesn't look like Tyreek Hill, but he knows how to teach the passing game.
It's absolutely, and they're so because I guess part of it is because everything's such a video culture. Right, like
everything is optics.
There are guys or girls that look great on camera, right? And listen, I've been to so many training facilities.
I'm sure you have. I bet.
Just with my own son. Derek's heard me complain about it because I don't like to complain because there are people that I've found that, like in basketball, I found the guy that I just really like. Part of it is knowledge. Part of it is their connection with the athlete, right? Yeah. And that's a big part of it, right? So if they have a connection with the athlete and they don't know what they're doing, that's a waste of time. If they know what they're doing and they can't connect with the athlete, that's a waste of time. You need both to be able to make sure you have the maximal impact. They have to want to go there, right? So, and that's why not everybody's for everybody. But I can tell you, like, you know, my issue a lot is with younger coaches, but I have issues sometimes with older coaches too. A guy who's been around forever and he's been just training forever and he's completely exhausted and he knows what to do. Like, I've been the guys, they know everything, but they put no effort into it. Mm-hmm. Like, they're on their phone the whole time, you know, after they teach a drill. Like, I know you're brilliant, but you're not connecting with the athlete, right? And then, you know, then you get there's super young guys that are really aggressive and all those kind of things, but they'll overwork. Like, the biggest thing the young kids do is overwork them. The bottom line, they overwork. Like, because they think that the parent isn't gonna be happy unless they overwork them. I just always, anytime, and I don't really train that many kids anymore, but like when I tell this to my kids I coach, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to run football practice. Mm-hmm. Okay. If this ends up being for you, I'm an aggressive person. Okay. When I coach, I'm aggressive. I've learned to calm down a little bit more as I get older, but that's just how I have points of inflection when I talk. Mm-hmm. There are kids that don't like the way that I talk. That's okay. Yeah. And it's not the right place for you. Like, there are people that can't handle when I emphasize things. Well, I believe that when I emphasize things, that in the long run gives me the ability to get it into your head and you start to learn it. That's my approach. There are other people that approach it completely different, and that's okay too. But you have to set expectations. Training, it's an important thing. I've said this like 3 or 4 times in the last week. I love when I can't believe I forgot who's the wide receiver from LSU that has the little wide receiver thing he does. He plays in the pros now.
Oh, what you're talking about the from the Vikings, Jefferson.
So when he does those videos that have gone viral about him talking about how to run routes, and like totally just threw 9,000 trainers into the garbage, right? Because he's like, no, if you really want to be good, like, you got to get vertical.
Yeah, run.
You got to be able to control your speed. You're not going to be able to run 100% as fast as you could run and then throttle down. Like, have to be able to control your speed, you know? and we've had Ross Apple on who talks the same kind of way, right? Ross is an example of me, and obviously Jefferson's a young guy. When he's explaining this to players, he's explaining it from the right standpoint. Ross is a young guy teaching out in Utah receivers, and he has the right mindset. So that's what parents have to. But you know what that requires? That requires them to experiment, parents, and to go to a guy and see what he's teaching, see what he talks about, and then see if it's the right fit for your kid. And then also be willing to stick with the guy that's great and jump if he's not. Like, you don't need to stick with this guy because he's selling you that you should make 5,000 moves at the line, and you're still at the line 1 yard down the field, and the quarterback looks over and he's getting killed if he throws it to you. You know what I mean? Like, looks great on Instagram, looks really cool. Not applicable. Then you average 7 yards of reception, and people are like, well, why am I averaging 7 yards of reception and I'm down to 5 on the depth chart? Because you average 7 yards of reception because you're catching the ball at 3 and you get to 5. And guess where you're going with your 27 catches for 185 yards to the bench. Okay, so you look good in practice, making some moves there, but now a guy rolls up on you, you're catching the ball at 2 yards. All right, and I could run the ball and do that. So it's a waste of down. Like, part of the reason why you throw is because the juice is worth the squeeze, meaning you're gaining more yards play and counting for the incompletions, not just the receptions, but the incompletions, so that it works out much more than you do when you run the ball. Because otherwise you will just run the ball if you're averaging between passing, incompletions, and passes down the field less yards than your average per carry. So these are the things that athletes have to understand when they're going and learning from trainers, because you end up washing yourself out.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. And my favorite, this is my last rant on this, and I want to get final thoughts on you because we had you forever on here, and you're great, dude, Coach. It's really great.
I appreciate you having me.
My final thoughts on this is, I hate when they teach change direction and they don't focus on the explosion out of the change of direction. So a kid goes and changes direction 75 times, and then he has to get 5 more yards after that, and he jogs the 5 yards. That whole drill right there was a waste of time.
And what do the college's coaches want to see? The burst. They all want to see that burst.
It's the burst out of the change of direction that matters. I can go and train a good athlete to change direction. It's the burst out of the change of direction. How you convert that to vertical is the most important thing. You know. But anyway, I want to leave you with like kind of final thoughts on what you want to talk about, what you think is important.
It's funny, real quick on that training, because you mentioned like these young guys feel like they have to do an hour and a half. You know how long my dad's shooting sessions used to be with my sister? And my sister's a Hall of Famer now. Mm-hmm. Take a guess. Yep.
30 minutes.
12 minutes.
There you go.
He looked to see if the table was set and whether or not she was going vertical or at the rim. If it was a vertical, she'd go longer. If she was up and over, horizontal was bad, up and over, grabbing the front hook. That was it. 12 minutes, right? So, but no, man, Dave and Coach Derek, I appreciate you guys having me on. I just think that there is, we just touched on it for the past hour or so, like there's such a need for good coaching, whether that be training, whether that be teaching a dig route, but like most importantly, like when you look at the guys that I personally have had, my assistant and I were talking about it, like, you know, I got kids living in projects that like we're literally saving their life. And that that's the reason why we do it, right? I don't do it for my $2,500 paycheck that I get right before Christmas, right? Like I do it because the lives that we change. And I think more than anything, with everything that's going on in the community, in the world, and the social media, it's like, man, you got to find strong coaches, right? And like now's the time for us to stand up, especially at the high school level. You know, I'm obviously biased, but like, I believe that 7th and 8th grade coach, that freshman coach, that high school varsity coach, like you're really, really important in the young man's life. And why? Because this is like 15, 16, 17. I mean, there's been studies like you're shaping who they really are going to be. You're not going to change a 39-year-old man like me. Like, yeah, I'm going to learn some things, but like I am who I am at this point. But like that young 16-year-old, like, man, he's a blank canvas. And it's up to us to like give him that direction and shape his future. So that's really like my main belief.
No, hey, Coach, I think that's why, like, you know, it's to just piggyback on that before we let you go. Like, that's why you see guys either, you know, coaching in general, right? Like they're in college, they either coach in high school, they're coaching college, they're coaching the pros. But you see guys like, why do sometimes really good college coaches go to the NFL and fail? Well, because that freaking, you know, acronym that you put on the wall, it don't resonate the same in the pros when the guy's got 2 kids and he's like, Coach, I need this next contract, right? So like, I don't need to be rah-rahed. I need you to fucking make me better, right? Whereas in high school, it's just a different level of connection, right? And college is kind of, it's like middle of the road, and it's changing now because now it's a business and you're paying players. So some of that rah-rah shit ain't going to work with some of these guys that are like, hey, like, what's my NIL so I can get to the league and eventually make money on my second contract because I'm making more money now in college, right? So I think coaches need to understand, like, yeah, you have a long-term goal. You want to get to college. You want to get to the pros or whatever. But, you know, be where your feet are right now, and that next thing will come. But you have to have an awareness of the impact level that you have on the players that are directly looking at you and what you do and how you handle your everyday business. From what are you doing when you're sitting here watching the weight room? Are you interacting? Or are you just bullshitting on your phone, right? Like when I ask you a question, are you the coach that's going to say, hey, this is what it is and back it up with why? Or are you the coach that's just going to bullshit them and the kids will see right through it and then right away, now they know this guy doesn't know shit. You know, like you got to really understand where you're at and have that self-awareness. But Coach, can't thank you enough, man. Incredible stuff. Really, like, you know, awesome what you're doing and, you know, the program that you have and whatnot. If there's anything we can ever do for you, you know, please reach out, let us know. But we appreciate the time, man.
Hey, and I appreciate you guys being that, you know, the voice for us coaches and the football community, man. It's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you having me on.
No doubt.
All right, Coach. Awesome having you on. Have a great day. Go have a great weekend.
You too.
Enjoy,
you,
Coach.
All right.
Get after it.
Great stuff, dude. Loved it.
Dude, must be nice to be at a program like that, buddy, where it's all boys and football's it, and you got $40 million endowment, nice ass stadium, and you know what I mean? Like, and look, he's the first to tell you, like, hey, dude, what I have is different than other people, and it is what it is, right? Like, but you know, that with that too, a lot of guys would love to be in that situation, but the pressures that go along with a job like that, like, you got to be a different cat, you know, because everybody thinks it's easy to win with talent, but you and I have seen it, and we can, and you know, like some guys can't coach high level talent. They just aren't very good at it. You know what I mean? Like, because those cats need to be coached different, and he's got a lot of them.
No doubt. It's one of those things where I think he just has a great demeanor, dude. Like,
no doubt,
just a phenomenal demeanor, phenomenal way to.
And you have to have that when you're coaching programs like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, obviously there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, but
of course,
you know that he gets it, right? Like know, like you come in the room, you know, he gets the best process that might be available to do things. He understands it. For me, as a guy who's been a head coach for a long time, like when I've been assistants, those are the kind of guys that you want to be an assistant for, because you know you're gonna be with someone that understands what's going on. Like there's, you know, and again, this probably has not as much to do with winning or losing, but there are coaches that are really successful that are only a certain way, and it may not work for everybody. He may not even get it. And then there are ones that are unsuccessful that don't get it either. And then there are ones that are really successful that do get it. There are ones that I think the majority of ones that really have success probably do get it. And then, it's how their approach to everything is. But my guess is that they do get it and they understand how everything is. But I think the biggest thing is like you notice the confidence in who he is.
Yeah.
Like he's confident.
This is what I am, and this is look, take it or leave it.
Right. This is what I'm about. I think I'm going to be able to help you be successful if you follow what we're doing. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. And listen, coaches more and more, because so many guys are dealing with a multitude of different things, that I think that it's helping coaches, the ones who are successful, to kind of, that's the way they have to do it, right? Like if you want to be successful, you're going to have to do it where you understand how you want your program to be, and you work with everybody to get that job done. And hopefully you're in a place where you have that opportunity, because otherwise, invariably, when you don't do that, if you leave a place, you're leaving it because you thought you should have did something and it didn't work because you're trying to placate everybody else. Ultimately, one day when you do leave a place, you want it to be because either you had a certain standard and everybody else wasn't adhering to it, maybe above you or something, or you have a better opportunity, but not because you tried to do what people wanted you to do. And then, oh my God, that didn't work. And that's not really who I am. Like, succeed or fail, understanding who you are. And then the rest will take care of itself. And again, it's not a guarantee you're going to succeed, but at the end of the day, you're going to walk away with, okay, I followed kind of what I think will work best, and that's hard in today's culture because, like you might get chastised for being like that sometimes, but at the end of the day, like I always say this, like as much as you love sports or or whatever it is you like to do, like you can do something else in your life if you have to.
Yep.
You can.
Yes. So
you don't have to do, only one thing. And if it's, you can figure out something else that you think is best. And it's important. And that keeps everybody, if they leave your program, they walk away saying, hey, coach told me this is what it was and it just didn't work out for me. And
right.
I realized
like, it's not the end all. It's not the end all be all. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have, like you could, that's not the end of your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, it's not the end of it. Go find something else to do, and you might be better at it.
Find something that works and you'll be fine. But that great guest, dude. Like really.
Yeah, dude, he was, we've been talking about it for a long time. Might get along. Yeah.
Yeah. I see why they're going to have battles, because at the top, it's hard in Delaware, him
and Blum, yeah.
Group, but it's, obviously it's going to be top heavy, probably the top 10 programs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
of course, so. No doubt. And then again, like, public school, private school, like guys are going to be like, well, he gets this, he has all this, he has the ability to do this, he could do that. Well, okay, you can go do it. Go be the head coach at that place like that. Find a school,
Right.
Also comes from one hell of a pedigree.
Oh, that goes.
Because his sister fucking lights out, dude.
Yeah, we didn't even dive into that, but obviously.
No. Hell no. But I mean, it's.
Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome.
But yeah, man.
All right, man.
Great stuff.
Yep. Next week we got a good lineup too as well. Little some different stuff too for next week. Like Monday, nutrition guy, right? Tuesday, kicking punting guy. Wednesday, a head coach from Florida. Thursday, special teams coordinator, linebackers at Lebanon Valley. And then Friday, more of a motivational speaker type public speaking guy who just finished up teaching and coaching for a bunch of years, but is now has been a motivational guy for a little bit too. Speaks to a lot of schools. So nice little varied up week next week.
No, that sounds good. I'm all for it, man. All right, well,
Get
have
after
a great
your
day.
weekend. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, enjoy. It's always fun.
Awesome. Good stuff, buddy.
I'll talk to you later.
Man, later.
All right, bye.